Hello, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I am really well, thank you. Just trying to
Amazing.
down some coffee. It's been a long, long morning.
Yeah,
But good.
it's busy but
Yeah,
productive.
busy. Yeah. Just lots of amazing clients. Funnel building, very exciting.
Very exciting indeed. Yes. So this would be a good place for you to start is to introduce yourself to podcast listeners and what it is. What the hell does funnel building mean? What do
Yeah.
you do?
So my name is Jennifer Hardie. For anyone that doesn't know me, which probably most of you won't, I live in Scotland with my 3 kids and 2 dogs and husband as well. So about 3 years ago now, I decided to basically pull together everything that I'd learned over the last 20 years of running my own businesses and stuff, and really kind of put it all together. The way that I've had to grow businesses has been on very low budgets, probably nothing actually for the first couple. Um, so really, I wanted to show people how to use things like social media, things like funnels. Very exciting. But all a funnel really is a way of bringing your client customer in to your space to get to know you more, to be nurtured by you, in order for them to then choose you for their sale. That's really all it is. And there's obviously different platforms that you can use to aid that. So yeah, I've pulled everything together and decided to do kind of business coaching. So what that entails is not only the kind of funnel side of things, but a little bit of productivity too. I also help people write books. So we've got 2 books out. Called She Is Unstoppable, and each feature 12 female entrepreneurs from around the world. And I used to hold retreats. If obviously that can go ahead next year, fingers crossed I'll be able to, because I've got itchy feet.
Yeah.
In places like Bali and Mykonos, and that's just a beautiful time and a way just to get incredible people together to actually scale their businesses whilst they're there. So like actually being productive,
Yeah.
and doing the work there. Because I don't know about you, but when I'm here, my family obviously take precedent, so I can find myself getting distracted, where when I'm in this space and all I have to do is focus on that stuff, I fly. I've got all the time, there's no distraction. So it's a great thing to do, is actually retreat. And I might even think about doing something in Scotland, actually, because it's so beautiful here. Like, why have I never done a thing here? So yeah, that's kind of a bit of a nutshell what I do. I also do acting and theatre arts, and I still do adverts and stuff too, because that's where I was born and bred into, the theatre.
Ah,
I still do that. I still do that now. So I'm actually back at school doing some acting training, which I'm
amazing.
really loving as well. But I've got
Amazing.
clients to serve too. Yes, I'm a wee bit busy.
Yeah, you've got
But
a lot going on. So how are you finding, and how is your community of theatre people finding this whole current situation of
yeah, really difficult. I mean, I've had friends who have been very well established in theatre, especially down in the West End, who now don't have anything. Like
yeah,
literally, they have nothing. Um, it's all very well and good, if you're business minded and you've done your tax returns the way that they should be done, and you've got an accountant, which a lot of artists can't necessarily afford either.
yeah,
There's times where things do get a bit messed up, and even then, part of the funding that was available just did not fit into the category of what some of these artists do.
yeah,
So it's been horrible. It's been really, really horrible. And right at the beginning, I reached out to my friend Sabrina, but they basically said, right, the show's closed, that's it, and we don't know if it's ever going to be back. And I was saying to her, let's do something, let's do a concert. And we did a few bits and pieces, but of course, some of the bigger companies end up doing it. Money then becomes involved or gets involved, and so it was a bit tricky for the kind of people that are in the middle, like people that are in the West End that don't have like a huge big fan base necessarily. It was a really difficult time for those people in the middle who have been working their backside off. And if you were in that world, you would be like, oh my goodness, they're incredible at what they do.
yeah,
Not only obviously musical theatre, but actors, musicians that just maybe haven't quite got on that ladder yet of the kind of pop industry, if you like.
yeah,
Um, It's been tough. It's been really tough. And at the beginning of 2020, my whole thing was, right, my kids are a little bit older. I want to go back to the arts because it's something that when it's in you, it never leaves. I wanted to do something for me, and I wanted to go back and train in that. And of course, pandemic hit, but it's definitely not derailed what I want to do. I know 100% that the arts have a massive role to play in people's minds and people's healthy mindsets, and in their well-being. Music alone, for example, can change the way that you think or feel in a heartbeat. And without those things, if you were to take away all of the arts, it would be a very, very sad, lonely place.
A quiet place as well.
Very, very quiet place, and a place where you were fed one point of view, which is what maybe a government's telling you or what you were reading in newspapers. And whereas the arts allows people to give their opinions in such a beautiful, poetic way that makes you think differently. I mean, even think about authors at the moment. They can't go on tours and promote their books and stuff either. It's in every sector of the arts has been hit. So sad times, but I really, really, really believe that if we can go over this, or if we can start to understand and learn with it, live with it, coming into next year, that the arts are going to take a hugely fundamental role in bringing people's happiness back, if you like. So
I think when you think about how things have happened in the past, there's when things are when they try and suppress things, there's always this underground. Do you know what I mean? So if you can't go to the proper theatre, we'll find a way to do things underground to be able to get that back out. Because if you don't have the arts, you don't have TV, you don't have radio, you don't have theatre, you don't have cinema. Like there's nothing. There's just you in the news and social media.
That's a bit depressing. That's a bit depressing. But I know I just seen one of our secretaries saying that people in the arts should go and retrain and find other jobs.
I saw that yesterday. I was like, that person's an idiot.
It's so insulting. So insulting. And I wonder what he sits and does with his evenings when he's in with his family. Does he just stare at walls?
Yeah, in silence.
And listen music and watch some programs? I bet he does. But people don't see it as a priority at the moment, and that's really sad. But I think it will change. I think it will change.
How have you used those skills that you had through your theatre and creative background in your business as it is now?
I would say one of the things, like I was talking about very, very briefly there, was understanding that if there's no budget, how am I going to attract people into my business? So that was a huge thing. So I used social media a lot at the beginning. So for example, the first thing I had was theatre schools. And it was just a little idea. I had my son when I was 21. I had just come back from drama school down in London. I had this skill set of all this art, but I was like, what am I going to do with it now that I'm home? I waited for my son to get a little bit older, and it was a kind of an idea brewing for a while. And then he was about 4 or 5, and I thought, right, let's just go for it. Let's just start a little school. And I did, and one person turned up, my son. So I was like, okay, this isn't going to work. So I had to learn the skill of promotion, self-promotion, to be honest, being the most important one to begin with, because there was no name for the business. It wasn't established. It wasn't franchised or anything, so it didn't come with this ready-made audience. So first of all, it was self-promotion, and then as the business started to take off and the school started to get a bit of a reputation, then of course I could kind of push the name of the school. But that was one, the confidence to be able to fail and go, okay, well, that's just a learning curve. That's not set me back. I need to move forward, and now I'm going to change the direction that I'm going. And I think for a lot of entrepreneurs or a lot of people that are in any kind of business, that's a huge one, because it doesn't feel nice to fail. Like, you want everything that you launch to be a huge success, and you want everything to just be this beautiful, upward climb, but it's not. It never is. So I think that is also something that I can pass on a lot when my clients are testing let's say they are testing a new marketing method and it doesn't work. It's like, okay, cool, well, that doesn't work. And it's like, but I put so much work into it. Why doesn't it work? And sometimes you just have to stop asking questions, and go, okay, it is what it is. And now we're on.
Yeah, and I think that's really relevant across all aspects of life, whether it's a marriage, whether it's a friendship, a business relationship, your health, whatever diet or exercise regime on, like that's really sometimes what you do just doesn't work, and you need to be able to let it go to open yourself up for the next thing. Oh, your doggies in
my
the
dog's having
background.
a little party with one of my kids' dolls.
Oh, nice.
No, you're completely right. You're completely right. And I think as well, especially when there's someone else involved. So when you have a business, you've got clients and customers involved. When you're in a relationship, you've either got a partner involved or even a relationship with a friend or a parent. Yeah. It's even more important to be able to let that stuff go. Yeah. Because you can never change the thoughts and feelings of someone towards you. And what I remember reading, and I was like, oh man, this is so right. You are a different person to every single person that you know.
Yes.
And I was like, wow, he sounds like Chewbacca. That was a kind of wow moment for me. And I was like, I can never, ever be the person that I would love to be for everybody. Yeah. Because everyone's got their own thing that they're also going through. And a lot of time people project. So something about you that you think is a really good thing, like you're maybe really kind, they would see that as a threat sometimes. Yeah. And be like, oh, she's too nice. She's too this.
Or
she's
suffocating
too
or mothering or
too needy. All these things. You can just never ever be the person that you would love to be for everybody. You certainly can for some. I definitely believe that. And these are the relationships and the friendships that you probably carry and clientele that you'll carry with forever, Yeah. But there'll be a group of people that just will never like you. And I think as hard as it is when someone that like you never know, people are not brave enough to go, I don't like you. Normally. Yeah. You hear of someone saying something that kind of hurts your feelings. It's never nice. But having that mindset, for me now, I can just go, oh, okay. And it just doesn't bother me as much. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, Jen, if you've had or if you've experienced like any trolling or trolls. But I've certainly had them. I've had them on adverts that I've put out there. Them on podcast episodes where they've been about me and the person talking. I've had loads of it. And at the beginning, like when I first started this side of this business or this side of the business, which was all the kind of coaching things, I was so hurt. I'm like, how can people say that stuff about me? Yeah. How can they think that? And now I'm so, it's like water off a duck's back. I'm like, okay. Do the most important people in my life, do they respect me? Do they look to me for answers sometimes the way that I do with them? Yes. And if that circle, you can keep that intact, then great. That's the only people that matter. And for me, that's my kids, husband, my mum and dad, and some friends and some clients. So I think that's being able to let things go like that.
Yeah, I think it depends who it is that said the thing. So if I know the person or I think I know the person and they say something, that definitely hurts more, and it's harder to let go than if it's a complete stranger. If it's a complete stranger, you're just like, yeah, you're a dick.
Absolutely.
Jog on, block, whatever. But if when it's a person that you know or that you thought that you knew and you're like, wow. Where did that come from?
I actually had a family member that I don't speak to now who gave me a tirade of abuse all about my Instagram and how it creates this perfect picture of my life. When actually, if you read the quotes that come with a lot of my images, you'll think that's completely different from what you maybe initially see in an image. Because I talk very openly about mental health. I talk very openly about where I'm at with things, about relationships, all of it. And And I'm always really careful of like, what am I putting out? Am I putting out something that could maybe help someone here, or
Yeah.
that someone can maybe relate to? I'm always really conscious of that. And that was a family member. And it's so strange how sometimes it is the people that are closest to you that know you the least.
Yes, because they have this perception in their head of who they think you are. And as you grow as a person, they don't always recognize the growth, or they don't recognize the growth for what it is, and
Absolutely.
think that your confidence is arrogance, or in those words of who does she think she is.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
that's more likely to come out of a family member's mouth than it is out of a stranger's, because they have this perception of who you should be. And when you break out of that little mold of what they've created for you, or that image in their minds, then all of a sudden it's a mirror up to them that they're not changing, or they're not moving in a way that they maybe want to.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's exactly it. It's a mirror. It's a mirror, and that can be really hard for some
Yeah,
people to take. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So productivity, we were just chatting right at the very start about being productive this morning and getting shit done.
Yeah.
Um, what are like, and when you're not on retreat and we're here in real life, what do you have any particular tools that you use, or any tips that you could share with people that could be useful?
I would say the number one thing for me that made a massive difference was the way that I worked my diary, and also the diary that I used. So I use Acuity, which is an online diary, but it links up to my phone, and I can change appointments really easily, or my clients can change appointments when they can't make things. But the way that I do it is I look at what my kids have got on. And obviously, that's a lot less now because they used to have clubs and things, and some of that stopped. But if the kids had clubs, if they had presentations at school, like any of that kind of stuff, would go in the diary first, and that time would be blocked off. And then after that, anything for myself. So maybe it was like a massage. I think that's so important. Self-care, self-care, self-care. There
Yeah,
has to be a time in every single day that you're going, how do I feel? Like
yeah,
what's going on inside here? Forget what's going on in your mind, because that will constantly just monkey chatter. Look at these crazy dogs. That will constantly just monkey chatter away. But what's going on inside here? Now, whether that's meditation for you, or a little bit of exercise, or whether it's cooking, or sitting down for 20 minutes listening to the radio or watching a bit of TV, doesn't matter what it is. Like, what is your meditation? What does that look like for you?
yeah,
And making sure that every single day you get it. I wasn't productive when I was going into meetings at 8 a.m. and then not finishing until 6, and
yeah,
having an hour's break in the middle, because I was like a blue arse fly, like just trying to catch my tail constantly, and it was horrible. So I really spread my meetings out, and I use Acuity for that, which is really good. So yeah, once I've put my stuff in that I want to achieve, whether it's a bit of exercise, whether it's a yoga class, whatever it is in the day, that goes in. Then I open up my diary to my clients. That
yeah,
normally happens like 2 weeks in advance kind of thing. So they can only really book up 2 weeks, because I might decide that I want to go away for a week on holiday, or I
yes,
want to take the kids away for a weekend, or whatever it might be. So I try and do that as well.
yeah,
And then it opens up to like discovery calls, or for new people that I've never spoke to before that want a quick chat about what I do.
yeah,
So that way I never feel guilty about mum guilt. Well, I don't have that, because
yeah,
my kids are the number one thing. And I know it
mhm,
sounds crazy, like, oh, you schedule your kids into your diary. It's not like that. Like, I'm here for the school run every single day and stuff. But yeah, I schedule all their activities in so I don't miss anything.
yeah,
And I never ever feel the guilt that, oh my goodness, my client's about to launch today, but now I need to go and do this school thing, and now I need to let her do it. There's never that. Well, there's very
yeah,
rarely that pull. Sometimes things come up, kids are sick, whatever.
yeah,
Um, Clients miss a point. All that jazz happens, but for the majority of the time, I feel
yeah,
quite balanced,
yeah,
and that means that I've got much more time to be creative and be productive as well in other ways. So whether it's I want to create something new, I'll actually schedule block time out for that. So that's 2 hours, let's say on a Tuesday, where I'm going to sit and go, right, what is this new thing that I'm going to create? What does it
yeah,
look like? And then I'll pick that up again maybe on Thursday or something. So that's one of my tools. And I think Acuity is a beautiful, beautiful diary to use. It's
mhm,
so easy, really user friendly. You can very easily put in what your week looks like.
yeah,
You can brand it, which I always think is a really great touch. It's inexpensive. So yeah, that
Yeah.
is probably my most important productivity tool.
Yeah, it's coming down to priorities. What are your priorities? So for you, it's your kids. For other people, it could be the particular job that they've got, if depending on what it is that they do, or maybe they really need to be focused on their health. If you're taking it unwell, then you
So
need to be able to adjust things so that you're fitting that life around what you need.
absolutely.
It's
So
one of the things that I teach in my with my clients as well, because I teach is health coaching.
yeah,
And it's, you have to, when you set your daily routine, it has to fit around what you need to get done, so that you don't feel guilty that you're missing out on stuff, or you don't feel like you're having to sacrifice things, time with particular people, or time on yourself,
yeah.
just to try and fit other stuff in.
Absolutely, because that's what happens. Like when you start to go down that road of I feel guilty because I've not done X, Y, Z, that's when your mind just is not in anywhere creative. Like there's not a creative space there. Like once you've went down that, because you feel bad.
Yeah.
Like if you can be like, right, okay, the beginning of this week, everyone is thought about, including me. You feel good. You go into the week feeling good and like, okay, ready to take on the world. But yeah, before I had that system in place, I was just like, so much to do, sitting up working late at night. It wasn't great. Working every weekend,
Yeah.
all that jazz. Just not anymore. I work normally Tuesday to Friday, one late
Yeah.
night for my clients that are overseas. Um, and that's it. Because your health is the most important thing. And I took ill last year
Hmm.
and my entire business, and I just stopped. I could
Yeah.
not push any further. So I know what that's like, and it's not good. It's not nice. So yeah, even more important to make sure that you're kind of, as soon as you're starting your business, or even if you're halfway through, it's time now to go, right, let's actually get a system in place,
Yeah.
and feel better about what my days are shaping up to look like.
Yeah. So your books, She's Unstoppable. Is it She's Unstoppable 1 and 2, or
Yeah,
She's Unstoppable? Yeah.
there's a volume
um,
1, volume 2, and there's going to be a third volume next year, which will be really interesting because that'll be people that have not only came through their own adversity, but obviously also came through a pandemic.
yeah, that we've
So
maybe never had before. So when you're looking for the people, or you're selecting the people that you want to include in that book, is there particular types of story that you're looking for when you're selecting them, or is it just as wide a variety as possible?
it's really, really wide. The first time that I had the idea to do it was obviously, it was 2 years ago, 3 years ago now, can't remember, but it just came out of me not feeling great, kind of going, I don't really know what's next. Like I think when you get to when you set yourself a goal and you hit the goal, there is a little moment where you're like, what's next? Like what's
Yeah.
the next thing? Like what do I want to achieve? And I kind of was feeling a bit like that. And obviously I've had adversity through my life, like everyone has, in some
Mhm.
capacity. Some is much more extreme, but I always just believe that everyone's adversity is valued, like it's relevant.
Yeah.
So I just put a kind of call out on my Facebook and said, listen, this is how I'm feeling just now. Does anybody else feel like this? And the response was incredible. Like so many people going, it was really difficult. I worked through this that happened. And, just trying to get up in the morning and find my why, or like, what was I doing all this for? And so it carried on. And I thought, okay, wouldn't it be amazing for me to be able to pick up a collection of stories that
Mm.
maybe some I wouldn't necessarily relate to, but I could absolutely sympathise with them. And then maybe some I would relate to and go, do you know what? See if that person can do it, then I'm going to do it too.
Yeah.
Let me try and move on through my journey as well. And that was the thinking behind it. Put a little shout out and said, this is what my plan is. I'm going to write a book, and I'm looking for 12 female authors for it, co-authors,
Yeah.
to share their journey with me. And brilliant response. And I thought, okay, let's do it. And there was enough women for probably about 20 books, to be honest. But for some, it wasn't the right time because they were maybe thinking about, starting a business. So it was going to be much better if they had their business started so that people could pick them up. Because a book also is a great way to leverage an audience and to be able to share your story with a potential client and customer. So there's also a kind of business element to it. Or even if you've got like a mission, so if you've got a charity, it's also another fab way of getting the word of your charity out there. So there was that kind of side of things as well. Most of the women had something that they were putting out into the world. And that's why they thought the book would be a really good place to begin. And a lot of them are going on now to write their own books because they understand and they've seen the process, which I think is just brilliant. But there was no kind of specific ways. Every single person that I spoke to, I did like little 15-20 minute Zoom calls just to get to know them and say, what's the kind of things that you would be wanting to talk about and share. And honestly, I mean, I think probably after every call, it was really emotionally draining because I was either my heart was so happy and like full, or I was in tears because I was like, geez, like. And men go through stuff as well. I understand that. And the only reason why women are so important to me is because I am one. So I can relate to them better. And also I do believe like periods and all that stuff really have got a massive effect on us. So that was another thing, like just hearing from all these women who have, just gone through incredible things and are now doing beautiful, beautiful things in the world was really, really inspiring. But there was no set way. It was these stories all just kind of lined up, and then we chose a 12, and some of the women that really wanted to be in the first book then went on to do book 2. So yeah.
They're both available on Amazon?
Yes, you can get them on Amazon. I'm going to Waterspoons and order them. Waterstones.
Waterstones.
Wetherspoons.
The book pub.
I'll never be going there ever again. Waterstones, my favourite bookshop. You can go in there as well and you can order it from the desk.
Awesome. Yeah, cool. I'll put links to that into the show notes for people so that they can easily find it. So I'm just very conscious of your time. Is there anything else that you specifically want to talk about before we wrap up?
I just want to, I suppose, say to people that more now than ever, it's time for you to give yourself a break. At this time, you shouldn't be expecting anything of yourself, really. It's so, everything is so up in the air still. It's all unknown. We're all just trying to get through this together. I do feel as if there's going to be a shift in the way that we view things like influencers and pop stars and all these kind of people. There was a long time where we held them in huge pedestals, and if they'd made a foot wrong, there was this kind of cancel culture. Where there was no way for them to be able to learn from the mistakes because they had this kind of platform, if that makes sense. I feel as if that's going to change because you're seeing now that we're all just humans and we're all just trying our best. And I like to believe that we are all trying our best. And maybe your best is different from mine, and maybe someone's best, I might think that falls short a little bit from what I would say is my best. It doesn't matter. None of it matters. We're all trying our best in the best possible way we know how in that time. So not only just being a little bit kinder at yourself, but kinder to other people. Like, take that mask down and smile. There's a little kid going up a escalator the other day, maybe 3 or 4 in front of me, and I'm standing there with a mask and everybody else's mask, and she just looks so terrified. And I'm like, can you imagine how scary that world is just now for that wee one? Like, all these people, dead eyes, not able to see. And so I took my mask off and I had a wee chat with her, and she was smiling and all bubbling away. Like, I think we need to remember that we're humans as well, and there's a human element. And although we need to maybe walk about with these masks, let's not forget that behind them we can be smiling, we can be talking, we can be making sure that people are okay, we can be asking to carry somebody's bags up the road. you know, all that stuff. Like, it's just so important, and we can't get to the stage where we're so detached that people are scared to walk down the street, especially our elderly community and things. So well, what can you do to make people feel a bit more confident about everything that's going on just now, you know, is what I would say, because otherwise we're going to let it destroy us, and we can't.
The disconnection itself is going to be so damaging if people
Humans
don't make a bigger effort.
Yeah, humans need to be touched, and they need to be held, and they need to be hugged, just the same as monkeys and the whole animal kingdom. We need to feel wanted and needed and loved. And we all deserve that, you know? So yeah, really, really important. And I don't know if this is something that you're passionate about, which I'm sure it probably will be, but I don't know if you've watched the David Attenborough program yet.
No, not yet. No.
Really beautiful. It's really beautiful, and it's actually quite optimistic, because we are heading in the right direction. But that's another thing that he talks about. He's like, our planet has suffered so much at our hands, and now there's a beautiful saying. I think it was like, we don't need knowledge anymore, like we need compassion. You know, we need wisdom.
Yes, we do.
And we have the wisdom. We know what we should be doing. We know what we should be cutting out. We know what we should be doing a little bit less of. We know. So I think it's time we all just kind of came together and did a wee bit of that, as small as it might be.
Yeah, I think it's letting go of that, because knowledge was given such a high status for so long. It's letting go of that as well, of this need to have the knowledge, and coming back to your internal wisdom. Because there is nothing more powerful than that internal wisdom. Your body's always sending you signals when something's not wrong, and we are so busy getting caught up in trying to find the science behind it that we don't listen. And it's like, science can't get everything. It just can't.
Science doesn't always get everything right.
No.
There's human error, you know? So yeah, you're right. It's a beautiful program. And so I think if you want your heart to begin to just kind of open up a little bit and just remind yourself that, you know, you're perfect, this planet's perfect, but we need to start working with it. And not against it. And we need to start working with ourselves and not against ourselves as well, because that's what I did for a long time. Constantly the way that my body looked, I was against. You know, the way that I wasn't as successful as I wanted to be, I was against. So letting go of that as well. And I'm not saying, by the way, that I am there. I'm just trying.
We're just all doing our best until we know better, as Maya Angelou would say.
100%, definitely.
Amazing. Right, so I'm very conscious that you have got another call that you need to get onto. Best places for people to follow you?
Probably Instagram just now. I've been really, really quiet on my social media, just trying to kind of get my head around the world at the moment. So I do kind of get a little bit insular, but I'm just going to start to ramp that back up and kind of showcase people some things that I've found and all that jazz. Got some really nice little collaborations coming up as well before Christmas, so probably Instagram's a good place. I don't have my community at the moment, but I'll be opening another one come 2021, the beginning of the year, and it'll be a little bit more holistic. So there will be business things in there, obviously, for anyone that needs that, but I will be talking a little bit more about, you know, spirituality and flow, you know, and all that kind of really awesome stuff too. So
amazing, brilliant. So I will put all the links to your social media on the show notes. All right, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you.